I want you to move from hating delegation to loving it and thriving in it. Hi, I'm Coach Nate Law from coachlaw.biz, and we need to talk about one of the most important time and money saving things that you can put your energy into: delegation. As we go through, remember to like and subscribe so that we can continue the conversation and we can get the word out to more people who are small law firm owners like ourselves. Okay, in all likelihood, you're falling into one of two camps at some point in your law firm career. Either you hate to delegate because, man, I can just do it better myself and it's too hard, it takes too long to describe to someone. I just want to make sure I get it done right. So you either hate to delegate, or on the other hand, maybe you love to delegate. You love like giving people direction and sending them off to do your bidding, but it doesn't always work. So either one of those camps, I want to get you from hating that to loving it. So let's walk through it. So delegation can really be broken down into two really important things when we talk about all the tasks that go along with it: trust and competency. You can't have one without the other for successful delegation. And if you're going to build a successful team, these are your building blocks. These are your cornerstones for moving forward. So we all understand that in relationships in general, you can't have trust without a certain level of knowledge or understanding of another person. You don't have to even agree with that person, but trust is never going to happen unless there's that understanding. So number one on the trust and competency is you have to share your thinking. You cannot assume that this great person that you've worked with for years or this wonderful new hire is going to just react the same way in every situation that you would. That's just not going to happen. You have to share your mentality and your thought process, just literally what's going through your head in these day-to-day kind of situations, and share that with them and say, here's how I think about that. Here's how I would approach that. And, you know, there may be things that aren't critical to your business methods or systems that they do it in that exact way, but they need to know, first of all, how you approach that situation and what you value in that situation. So share your thinking and make it explicit and clear. So next is share the why behind that. Make sure that you're connecting, your thinking to what the goal is, or connecting it to kind of the overall vision for your firm so that they see the broader purpose behind it and can keep kind of that motivation behind them, other than just, oh, this is a kind of a lame administrative task I got to do every day. It's not that important. If I miss it one time, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. But share with them that it's bigger than just checking a box off of a list. Make sure they know the why behind it and the importance and value that it brings to your clients, to your firm, to your reputation. Share that why behind it with them. So more on the competency side, we've talked about some trust. Let's talk about some competency. First of all, obviously you're going to do your best in your hires and you're going to do your due diligence, and people are going to be smart, motivated people that you hire. But what it really comes down to is not just do they have a general competency, but do they have a specific competency? And by specific, I mean that fits into your firm. So you've talked about your thinking, your why. Now you need to show them the how, and the how needs to be how your firm really does things. So this is kind of like the nitty-gritty flavor of your specific organization and the feel that you're trying to give clients. You need to make sure that you're sharing that with your teammates team members when you're walking them through how to get a specific type of project done. So within that how is systemizing daily tasks. And here's some ways that I've done it and just some examples of how you can kind of accomplish this when you're working on an operations manual, checklists, anything like that. Obviously, if you're a Clio user like I am, then you're going to want to use the task lists in Clio. That's going to be really helpful. You can customize those to certain kinds of client or case types so that it automatically generates that every single time for every new client. Another place where you can have your systems for your everyday day-to-day tasks that you delegate a lot is the Wiki feature on Microsoft Teams. That's easily accessible by everyone, and you can create contents list on the side that kind of works for that. Or just have a giant Microsoft Word doc where, everyone can go in and update that, or a Google Docs that everyone can go in and update and make sure that that is what everyone's working off of and following. Another helpful tool is Loom, L-O-O-M. That's great for showing short videos, 5 minutes or less. It's free to use, and you can create, screen share, screen record, and show people how to do things. So you don't have to constantly retrain people over and over and over again when you have new hires for staff. You can do this once, or maybe, once every couple of years when you have to update some, mundane sort of process. But that's a great video tool to use. So this is where I would say trust, but verify. Your follow-up is going to be absolutely key, and the time you spend following up is going to be worth it. The other fear that I think some people run into in this, trust but verify, is kind of letting employees, or the fear that as a manager, I'm gonna somehow be telling my employees that I don't trust them just because I'm checking up on their work or just because I'm following up. That's been a hurdle for me that I've had to get over. And what I've realized is just the more clear communication about it and saying, this is a really important task and the outcome is really important. And so and using that we language helps too, is we need to make sure this is done right and done well. And then what it does is, when that's happening, it gives you an opportunity to celebrate that with people instead of, just be correcting all of the time. The other phrase that I find really helpful is that correction is not condemnation. It sounds a little biblical, but correction is something that is used to elevate and lead. And it doesn't have to just be to say, well, you really messed that up. That's no good. The goal is to have us all elevated and to be working at our very best. And that's not a bad thing. I think most employers want to say they want to work in an organization that desires and even demands excellence. I don't know that many people that want to work in an organization that they're just okay if things, just get screwed up all the time, right? Nobody wants to be a part of that. Nobody's proud of that. Nobody wants to tell their friends they work there. So again, correction is not condemnation. Trust but verify. Follow up. Don't be afraid that you're going to be looking like, you don't trust your team members. You can trust them and still be looking to make sure that we're doing things the right way and that what you're delegating is clear. And of course, without further ado, it's time to get ethical. So the ABA rules, model rules of professional conduct, talk about the requirement, not just the suggestion, right? But the requirement that a lawyer needs to be responsible for the conduct of any non-lawyers who are working with them or in their firm or they have managerial oversight for, if the conduct that they do, that if it was done by you, so an extension of you, would be a violation of the rules of professional responsibility or professional conduct. So that's rule 5.3. So it's important. It's super important for you as the owner, manager, just because of the extended liability that you have. And so obviously putting that delegation and focusing on that is going to be absolutely key. So ensuring that you have trust, that they know you're thinking, they know the why, they know the how of how you're going about this is going to be absolutely key for you. You can do it. And I want to know if you have other challenges that you run into when you're trying to delegate, or fears that you have that you just keep coming across, because I'd love to talk those through. So even if you still feel like you hate to delegate, keep working through these steps in terms of the trust and the competency, and then the trust but verify will really turn into trusting and celebrating with your team that you guys are doing a good job and moving the whole team forward. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.